I want you to just give up on all of your hopes and dreams. TED, ideas worth spreading. If I could go back in time and share one lesson with myself, it would be that the meaning of life has nothing to do with the pursuit of happiness. We have to stop sharing this idea around that happiness is some destination that we drive to when we park at. It's not an end state that you can ever hope to maintain. I really do think I found the meaning of life, and I did it the moment I gave up on all of the things I wanted for myself when I was younger. When I was a teenager, I was told I have achievement confused with happiness. So I'm going to tell you about how I made that distinction in my adventures to prom 3 times. Philosopher and concentration camp survivor Viktor Frankl stated that there are 3 paths to the meaning of life: love, work, and the attitude that you choose to take towards your suffering. I wasn't ready to face number 3. When I was 13, I wrote a letter to my future self where I demanded that I ask the most beautiful girl in school to prom. 5 years later, in the romantic halls of Trader Joe's, I kept that promise, armed with nothing but a $6.99 bouquet of flowers. I got what $6.99 buys you, baby: a blank stare and an okay. And we dated for 6 months. And as I pushed the boulder of love up a hill towards a big personal victory, it rolled back on me and she crushed my heart into 1,000 little pieces. So, sorry, Vic. I didn't find any meaning in love at prom. But I'd write another letter to myself. When I was 17, I asked future me to find meaning in work, sort of. The direct quote was, "I dream of walking in the shoes of giants one day." And the subtext of that was that I wanted a life of greatness to rescue me from suffering I was experiencing inside. I had fallen in love with filmmaking. I've always had epilepsy. The doctors never figured out why. And as my peers' lives appeared to get bigger and bigger and bigger, mine got smaller and smaller. I just couldn't do the things that other kids could do. Now, it felt like every time I tried again to push the boulder up the hill towards the smallest of personal victories, it would roll back on me and remind me that I simply was never going to lead a life of my choosing. I also refused to work these feelings into my art because I felt like that would somehow taint my only means of escape. But I went and worked at a camp for kids who have seizures. And at that camp, the kids would open up about their deepest, darkest feelings. And they'd share with each other that they felt friendless, lost, alone, and misunderstood. It interested me that in doing that, not for themselves, but for their neighbor, they were instantly no longer lost, alone, or misunderstood. So I changed my mind. And at 23, I returned to prom, sort of. I direct a short film called Under the Lights, about a boy with epilepsy so desperate to feel like a regular kid, he goes to prom knowing that the lights will make him have a seizure. And I did this by opening up my feelings to the world. But I still kind of wanted all those things I wanted when I was 17. I wanted that red carpet, baby. I wanted to win a big film festival. And then COVID happens and the world stops and it vanishes and I'm crushed. And the movie didn't do anything for love either. My right hand on the project, Spencer, he had this Tinder match at the time he was so excited about, and she was beautiful. And they're talking, and it's going so well. And then in an effort to impress her, he sends her the short film. Boom, message read. Never speaks to him ever again. So, we didn't find any meaning in love or in work at prom. But then something magic happens. Fan art starts rolling in from all around the world. Fans translate it into 4 languages. People send me videos of themselves getting up bravely in front of their whole schools and businesses talking about their epilepsy for the very first time. More than a few people reached out and told me that they chose a different career path because of this 9-minute short and its message. So I realized there was something buried underneath all of this. It was a little deeper than validation, but I didn't have a name for it yet. And so I decided I would return to prom one last time for a more noble purpose. I wanted to direct the full Under the Lights movie. I promised the world that it would have big stars, that it would be the biggest moment for epilepsy awareness that had ever taken place. But as I knocked on doors for years and years trying to raise the money, all I ever heard was no. It didn't matter that I'd found purpose. It didn't matter that I was sure that I could change the world for people living with epilepsy. All it bought me was empty promises from rich and powerful people, and my biggest dream that I had ever had was shattered. I was crushed. And then one day, a family comes to me. They have a daughter, Georgia. Georgia has epilepsy. It's her deepest, darkest secret. She won't tell a soul. And then one day, she sees a short film. She goes to her parents all excited, and she says, "I'm done hiding. My story matters. I can help other people living with epilepsy." And it turns out that was Spencer's Tinder match. She had seen the short, and it turned her life around. And the only reason that she was never able to tell him was that a couple months later, Georgia Pelkoffer had a seizure, and she died. Ron Howard has this awful quote where he says to filmmakers that every movie you make finds its way into breaking your heart. And that broke my heart. Your hopes and dreams will not erase suffering. They won't. Rich and powerful people question whether my story mattered, but it meant a lot to me. It meant a lot more to Georgia. Your hopes and dreams will not absolve you of pain, but I learned something in this process that taught me a lesson about what makes life worth living. You know, film was never going to cure my epilepsy. But what it did do was it got me closer to the moment where I woke up and I decided that the time I lost to seizures was not a waste. So I decided with you that I'd write a letter to 17-year-old me. Just give him all the answers. Dear Miles, I hope you're good or whatever. You want to walk in the shoes of giants? I have a word of advice. Don't. If you love and you work in pursuit of personal victory, the boulder of life has a funny habit of rolling back on you. But if you tell your story, the one you feel deep inside, and you tell it for someone else, you can push on that rock for them. And in doing so, find tremendous meaning in life. Your movie gets made. Last year, you shot it, and you got to direct many of your favorite actors. And it comes out soon. You don't have achievement confused with happiness. You have happiness confused with purpose. And when you're ready to find out that the difference is service, I want you to go to prom as often as possible and to buy as much of something called Bitcoin about the time that you graduate. And P.S. Thank you.